Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Brian Batko not convinced Steelers hand Beanie Bishop Jr. a job, starter or backup. Steelers second-year CB Beanie Bishop Jr. began his career as a starter. Will he even have a job this season? Brian Batko of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette pondered that very question, a debate he reached during a 53-man roster projection. A former college free agent, he saw the field initially as the last man standing. Later in the year, the Steelers did sit Bishop down or substantially curb his playing time. But could he really miss the roster entirely after making it last year? It wouldn't be the first time that a fringe player made the team once and then not again. Just last year, Dylan Cook found himself on the outside looking in after being on the roster in 2023. I'm not convinced they're gonna just hand a job to Beanie Bishop, starter or backup, Batko said on the North Shore Drive podcast. I know he had a good rookie season with the 4 picks, but he was up and down in terms of playing assignment-sound football and being able to run with bigger, taller, faster guys at the NFL level. I think he's gonna have to go take his food, too, in training camp, as Carl Dunbar said. It's competition, so if you want to eat, go take your food. That's the message Steelers DL coach Carl Dunbar shared during a draft in which they selected 2 defensive linemen. They have a crowded room there, but the secondary has some numbers, too. And the Steelers drafted Dante Kent this year while adding a promising college free agent in Sebastian Castro. Beanie Bishop was that promising rookie a year ago. Bishop intercepted 4 passes with 7 passes defensed last season. He registered 45 tackles with 2 for loss and split a sack. But he also missed tackles, poorly timed angles, lost assignment discipline, and struggled in some of his matchups. Some of his interceptions were gifts, though his first was a highlight. Earlier this month, I posed the question of whether Beanie Bishop would reclaim the Steelers' starting nickel job. Those who commented seemed heavily in his favor, but Batko questions whether he is even going to make the team. He didn't put Bishop anywhere near his roster locks. In fact, he had him as the 53rd man on the roster, challenged by Dante Kent and Sebastian Castro. Still, even with the contextualization of all of his interceptions, it's hard to cut a young player who picked off 4 passes. Bishop proved that he was opportunistic, and sometimes that's better than being skilled. Not that he doesn't have skills, of course. There's a lot to like about his game. And he should only grow from here, going into year 2. But he's not going to grow any taller, not that his competitors are towering figures. Brandon Eccles is 5'10" to his 5'9", as is Kent. Steelers fans saying same thing about ESPN power rankings. The Pittsburgh Steelers know how the story goes. They extend head coach Mike Tomlin's non-losing season streak. The offense falters, their AFC North rivals play deeper into January, and they manage to go yet another offseason without leaving quarterback purgatory. There are legitimate reasons to be excited about the next rendition of Tomlin's Steelers. Trading for Seattle Seahawks receiver DK Metcalf adds a more convincing level of potency to a receiver room that boasted just 1 star in 2024. Pittsburgh's 2025 NFL Draft added more physicality to both sides of the ball, and free agency helped create a slightly remodeled secondary. A somewhat promising starting quarterback might be in the cards, too, if Aaron Rodgers puts pen to paper. And yet, Steelers fans are left saying the same thing about ESPN's latest power rankings, accepting their role as the NFL's middle-class mainstay. Pittsburgh came in at number 17, between the Seattle Seahawks and Atlanta Falcons. Mike Tomlin said the team had extreme urgency in adding to the defensive line, and it showed in the draft, Brooke Pryor wrote. The Steelers used their first-round pick on Derek Harmon, a versatile defensive tackle who models his game after Cameron Hayward's. Then, the Steelers double-dipped at the position with big-bodied tackle Yahya Black, who coaches said can play nose tackle but will likely be a 4 technique. That leaves the Steelers with a crowded defensive line room, but it's a good problem to have, as they struggled to stop the run last season. The skepticism, if one can call it that, is warranted. Even with Rodgers in the building, Pittsburgh will still be expected to finish behind the Cincinnati Bengals and Baltimore Ravens, and ahead of the Cleveland Browns. The Steelers will be projected to hover around .500, and if they are fortunate enough to make the playoffs, they won't be taken seriously as contenders. At this point, it feels like a way of life in Pittsburgh, a 17-game season reduced to a waiting game. The Steelers' next franchise quarterback may not arrive anytime soon, but there's still room for Pittsburgh to play meaningful football and ruin a contender season in the process. Aaron Rodgers to the Pittsburgh Steelers is seemingly a done deal according to report. Aaron Rodgers is not currently a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. At least, not technically. Technically speaking, Rodgers is still a member of the NFL free agent pool after cutting ties with the New York Jets. But as one prominent NFL reporter points out, the Pittsburgh Steelers are very much operating like an organization that knows Aaron Rodgers will be its starting quarterback in 2025. Rodgers, of course, made a recent appearance on the Pat McAfee show and stated that he wasn't ready to make a decision on his future. Shortly after the fact, Pittsburgh head coach Mike Tomlin made his feelings clear about a timeline for Rodgers potentially joining the fray. To be quite honest with you, I don't know that I meant that specifically for him or the circumstance. I'm just saying, in general, when you report to training camp, it's a line of demarcation of development of a group, individually and collectively. But as Yahoo Sports' Charles Robinson explains, everything that the Steelers have done since suggests that the team is fully expecting to have a deal done with Rodgers by the time training camp begins. Rodgers first points to the NFL draft, where the Steelers passed on a quarterback on the first 2 days, instead opting to address their defense. He then points to Pittsburgh trading for and extending star wide receiver DK Metcalf despite the lack of a starting quarterback on the roster. But that's where things get interesting. Robinson also explains how and why it might benefit Pittsburgh not to have Rodgers signed already. He posits that if you acknowledge that Rodgers' usual off-season antics are a distraction, you can then minimize that distraction by waiting to sign him. So long as Rodgers isn't signed, there is no room for questions about why he's signed but not in the building, or a running timeline of when he is going to show up, Robinson states. He pointed to Rodgers' recent appearance at the Kentucky Derby, where he appeared to be wearing a wedding band. Whatever it is, Robinson said, the Steelers aren't subject to being part of any of it, because he's still nothing more than an unsigned player. Additionally, Pittsburgh added pieces such as Iowa running back Caleb Johnson and Ohio State defensive end Jack Sawyer in the draft. Both pieces fit a roster constructed to win now. Only once they got to the 6th round did the Steelers take a swing on Ohio State quarterback Will Howard. Howard isn't expected to push for a starting spot anytime soon and could easily slot into the background behind Rodgers. Robinson does leave open the possibility that Rodgers just calls it quits. But as he points out, all the signs are there. Aaron Rodgers to the Pittsburgh Steelers looks way more like a win than an if. And you fan? What do you think about Aaron Rodgers' situation? Write to us in the comments.